Joe B in his weekly spot after a Jet loss in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Joe, how you doing?
Well, I would call it humiliation. By the way, on my New Year's Eve is Penn State Boise. That's it. I'm ready to go.
I can't wait.
Who do you like, though, Joe?
I think it's a huge game for James Franklin and Penn State. They have to win this game. I mean, look at it. You know what? You got a big break playing SMU. You could have very easily been playing Alabama. And, you got to beat Boise. I'm sorry. You got to win this game. Yeah. You got to get to the Final Four. After that, I think he's okay because I don't think they're going to win a championship. But I think this is a must-win for Penn State.
And it's going to be a big showcase for Ashton Genty as well. Mm-hmm. See if he runs all over the place like this. 11.5 points, a lot of points, too. I think I might be on Boise plus the points.
I would take Boise in the points.
Yeah. Nice. But either way, the beauty of that game, New Year's Eve, Joe, 7:30 start, so you should be done by 11 o'clock, which gives you the hour to do whatever you got to do. Right. Ryan Seacrest on the whole 9 yards.
I'll probably be in bed after the game.
So you don't make it to midnight on New Year's Eve anymore, Joe?
I don't know when the last time I did, to be honest with you. I'd have to ask my wife that.
I'm trying to think if I don't remember midnight. The only time I remember midnight, you remember I went to New Zealand?
Yeah.
I don't know if you are aware of this, Joe, but a couple of years ago, I officiated a wedding in New Zealand.
You officiated a wedding in New Zealand?
Look, they were already married, but whatever. I went to New Zealand to officiate this wedding, but it was over New Year's.
Right.
And so I came back on New Year's Eve.
You were on the plane at midnight?
No, I got home and walked in the door like 3 minutes before midnight.
Oh, wow.
So I got to hug my kids. I think that was the last time I made it to midnight.
That's perfect timing.
Right, it was great timing. It was miserable because
they'd have to knock me out. They'd have to absolutely knock me out for hours to fly to New Zealand. God bless you.
It's like 15 hours, man. And it was miserable coming home, but whatever.
How could you not?
I made it. I made it to kiss the bride at New Year's. So I'm with you, Joe. I don't generally crave to stay up for New Year's.
Those days are long over. It was humiliation yesterday. I mean, that was rock bottom. Here's the bottom line with my wonderful football franchise that I love so much and hate so much at the same time. They are now the worst franchise in professional sports. For 20 years it was the Knickerbockers, right? The Knicks for 20 years was the worst franchise in professional sports. Jim Dolan was the worst owner. Now it's the Jets and Woody Johnson. And they have got to get this GM head coaching situation right. There is no gray area here. They have to get it right because I can't take it anymore, Teak. I'm at the point now.
Are you done with Aaron?
No, I'm not. But I'll put it this way: I'm not. Look, he stunk yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
He was terrible. But they were brutal. 16 penalties. I mean, you can't get a yard on 4th and 1. I mean, we could go on and on.
Right.
It's brutal. But the bottom line is this. Okay, I want Rodgers back, but I'm at the point now where if everybody goes, I don't even care because it's so important to change. I hate the word culture. I like to use the word karma. Right. It's so important to change the karma of this franchise. I mean, it's a Tiki, 56 years without a Super Bowl appearance, 14 years without the playoffs, 9 years without a winning season, 5 straight 10-plus losing seasons. How much can I take anymore?
Right, and all those years not making the playoffs. It just gets frustrating and I don't know, discouraging. Like you almost can't even go into the season, even if you do good things in the offseason, feeling optimistic about it until you actually do it. Now, I know there were some years back, with back-to-back AFC Championship games. We all know that. But that was because you had a coach in Rex who was, different. All right? He was different than the mold. He was...
Right. And they're interviewing him again.
I know.
Very happy to see that.
That's why I bring that up, because they're interviewing him. They're interviewing Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera.
But you know what? He's a good... He's a good remaker of bad situations. You know what I mean? That's what he was tasked to do in Carolina. That's what he was tasked to do in Washington. He had some level of success, not ultimate success, but I mean, I still feel like those two interviews aren't like super inspiring.
Well, look, I'm down on Rex, so I'm big on Rex, man. He's what he look. Next, as far as I'm concerned, next to Weeb Eubank, who won me a championship 1,000,000 years ago, he's the best coach we ever had.
And embrace being a Jet, too.
Right, and he wants to coach the team. It's so important to me, Teak, that he wants this job. And he has something to prove. And I don't know if he's going to get the job, but he has something to prove now. He's got a major chip on his shoulder. Let's be honest about it. I'm down with Rex, man. I'm down with
Joe, I'm just a little surprised, though, too, with Rex. Doesn't it feel like he's, groveling, begging a little too much? That it comes across as like,
well, he's been out for a long time, though.
He seems almost too desperate.
But he's been out for a long time.
I don't even care about that. Who cares? I mean, you know what? I will do a dance if Rex is the coach. Now,
when's the last time this happened, Joe? Do you have a history of this? Not with the Jets, just in any NFL team.
A coach coming, Gibbs
came back.
Gibbs and Dick Vermeil came back, but not to the same team.
Yeah, that's what I mean. To the same team. So Gibbs is the only one, right?
Right.
That's
the only one I can think of. Yeah. At the top of my head.
Very rare, but. This is where Rex is going to have the benefit. How many people are banging down the door to get the Jet job? And Joe, I'm curious whether it's Rex, whoever. After seeing what you saw from Rodgers, hear the report Saturday, Garrett Wilson, he may ask out of Rodgers here. It just feels like, and I don't think it's all Rodgers' fault this year. Statistically, he's been fine. I just don't know how you can move forward with a new coach and new GM and still have kind of the Rodgers aura hanging over this whole thing.
Well, I mean, look, like I said, Sean, at this point now, it's about the organization. It's about getting a general manager and head coach in here that are going to be on the same page. There has to be accountability with this team because there absolutely is no accountability. It's a joke with all these penalties. It makes you absolutely crazy. That has to change. I mean, the discipline is beyond it's beyond the pale. Look, this is it. I mean, I don't want another. I've said this over and over. I don't want another first-time coordinator. That guy will be gone in 3 years. I mean, we never find Sean McVay. We never find Kevin O'Connell.
Right.
We never find these guys, Kyle Shanahan. We don't get these guys. You need a guy. I think you need a guy that understands the situation here, and that's why I so like Rex. Look, I love Mike Vrabel. I would be happy with Mike Vrabel. I love Brian Flores.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Brian Flores needs to be interviewed, okay? As much as I love Rex, interview this guy. I think you can can't you do like a virtual interview with him?
Yeah, but
before the playoffs, Tiki?
Yeah, while it's still going on, but you can't. It gets really complicated.
Well, and if the Vikings win, don't you have that bye week ability? So you might be if you want to talk to Flores, you might be rooting for a Viking win.
Well, they might wind up with the number 1 seed, which I guess you could talk to him at that point, saying. Yeah. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's correct. But again, is he going to want to disrupt his planning for whatever? Look, who knows?
Who knows? I'm sure he wants to be a head coach again.
Of course he does, and hopefully he learns from his let's call them mistakes, because some of them were actual mistakes that he made in his stint in Miami. But whether it's Brian Flores, whether it's Rex, ultimately you're right. It comes down to hiring that young coordinator, that mind. Who can,
as far as running the offense,
running the offense, who can bring you into the modern NFL. Because all the teams that are having success, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see any of these, we're just going to run it, 35 times a game and, play action pass. That's not working in the NFL anymore. So to me, the bigger hire is the OC, and then who's the head, and who is your quarterback. Those are the two biggest things right now.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'll ask you this, both of you guys. By the way, nice job. I was watching a lot of your game yesterday, Teak. The weather was just lovely in Cleveland. I was actually rooting for Miami because this game means something for Miami. And the only thing I can ask now, can my team beat them and knock them out of the playoffs? I mean, that would give me something. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
That would give me something. They should have beat him in Miami. Can we stick it to this? I can't stand Mike McDaniel. I hate him. I shouldn't say hate. It's a bad word.
He's an interesting man.
Oh,
we met with him on Saturday.
Is Tua playing Sunday, by the way?
I don't know. This came up. This popped up to us the day we were meeting with them, or right before we were meeting with them. The Tua was downgraded to doubtful because that hip from college just had some I don't know, wear and
really?
I don't know. It was It came out of nowhere.
Two is like the rest of us. Weather changes, you get arthritis in the old
bro, don't
injuries.
even talk to me about it, please. You don't even know, Sean. Forget about it. You guys are young.
Right.
My ankle hurts every time it rains, Joe.
Wait till you hit 71, Sean.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Let me tell you.
But I got to tell you, Joe, Tyler Huntley was pretty good.
He's a good backup.
Yes.
He was a good backup in Baltimore as well. So
Right.
I'm not surprised by that. You know, he can certainly win with him. But I'd love to stick it to Miami. With that said, if it's not Rodgers, who's my quarterback? Are we going to go with
Taylor?
The problem with him, and I'm not saying you can't win games with him. The problem with Tyrod Taylor is he will get hurt at some point during the year.
No, I agree with that.
He always does. Do you bring in Justin Fields? You know? Do you bring him in? I mean, Sam Darnold, just don't buy is leaving Minnesota.
I agree with you. We talked about that earlier. It just doesn't make sense for Minnesota to let him go anywhere. We were just looking at these free agent quarterbacks, and there's a couple of them, but not a lot of them are appealing, especially these guys that get older, right? Some of these guys are so old, it just doesn't make any sense to bring them in just because you're looking for a bridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then I might as well keep Rodgers if I'm doing that.
And that's what we talked about last week. It's like what is the better option? And there aren't a ton of them.
But let me say this: if a veteran coach takes over here, let's say we bring in Rex, or let's say we bring in Vrabel. I'm just using those two guys. You know, by the way, I had Brian Costello on my Saturday show.
I heard this.
Matt Nagy, he mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, the only plus for Matt Nagy to me is that he has coached a head coach in the league. He did go to the playoffs a couple times.
Yep.
And he did it with Mitch Trubisky, didn't he?
He did.
That is saying now he's in Kansas City, so
back
where he
Kansas
was
City.
originally. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not completely against him. I'm still kind of marinating him in my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be uninspiring, but it may not be the worst thing in the world.
Right.
But again, a second time head coach who probably learned from his previous stint in Chicago. And by the way, Chicago was a bad organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
But if you bring to me, it has to be a guy that's coached in the league before.
Joe, I think the guy that not enough people are talking about, to me, Kingsbury.
I don't like Kingsbury.
Young, what he's done with Jaden Daniels.
He is, but did he do anything in Arizona?
He had the rookie of the year. That was about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it faded really quickly.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Kingsbury.
See, to me, though, when I'm hiring a head coach for the Jets, we're talking about the bridge. I'm thinking next year they're going to have a rookie quarterback after the coach gets settled for a year, and I want the right minds in place.
When you say next year, you mean a year after?
So they're going to play a year next year with Taylor, Rodgers, whoever.
Right.
Then I think at this time next year, we're going to be talking about the Jets in the draft and a quarterback.
Right.
And to me, I want a guy in place that's going to help that quarterback.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Kingsbury will do that.
Yeah.
He's good at helping those young quarterbacks.
He is. There's a kid out there. I love this kid, by the way, which you won't have to draft in the first round. I love the kid from Syracuse. What's his name? Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty good, man. He can throw the ball. Where was he? At Ohio State before, right? Wasn't he Ohio State?
I feel like all those guys,
everybody
made their way through Ohio State.
Unbelievable.
Quinn Ewers, he was at Ohio State.
Just think, if you were playing now, you'd been going to Virginia, you'd been wound up in you've been Alabama, Ole Miss, somewhere like that. Right.
I have to go do a stint on the West Coast so I can enjoy the good weather.
Yeah, McCord's from Jersey. He went to Ohio State first.
Right. They pay you a couple mil out of the NIL and all of that. You'd be good to go. There's no doubt about it. But my feeling is if you bring in a veteran coach, which I think it's going to be, has to be in my mind, maybe he's going to say, look, I want to win next year. Mm-hmm. I'll take my chances with Rodgers for another year.
Yeah.
Because there is talent on this team. Straighten out Garrett Wilson. You got some young guys on the offensive line. I know Fastenu's got hurt. I mean, you saw the guy, Mitchell and the other guy, Warren, just killed him yesterday.
Right.
I mean, Mitchell missing that block on Espinoza coming off the edge.
Fastenu's going to be a player, though.
Right.
That's a hit.
No, Fastenu I like. I like Fastenu. I like the center I think we got. Vera Tucker's good. We got some guys on the offensive line. Defense needs to be fixed.
Right.
I mean, and how about Sauce Guy? I got to say this about this guy. Because to me, he's the most overrated player in the league.
I was going to ask you about Sauce because actually both of those two young guys, because Garrett's talking about not wanting to be there.
Garrett's got to come back. I think if Garrett, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think if Garrett gets in a situation where he starts winning, he's happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He hates losing.
Right.
He just he came from a school where he just won all the time.
Never lost.
Never lost. And so he hates the fact that nothing is working the way it should be, even if he's having individual success. But the Sauce thing was interesting to me because he basically said, guys, quit.
And he didn't play the second half, Teak.
Yeah, so he quit.
What are you talking about? When I heard that, that's exactly where I'm going. When I heard that after the game, this guy's saying guys quit on the team, and you didn't play the second half. So no, who the hell are you kidding, bro?
You're right.
He needs a stick up his rear end. I'm telling you, and see, a guy like Rex to me, a guy like Vrabel, a guy like Flores would put that stick right up his rear end.
Right, they handle it. They handle that the way that it needs to be handled. So you're not getting these nonsensical quotes.
Another guy that's been a very disappointing player for them this year is Quinnen Williams. I mean, he has not played up to what the talent level would suggest.
No, you were talking about him being a top 5 D tackle in the league last year. And it just
he's no like, Dexter Lawrence, bro. I can tell you that.
No, he's not at all, Joe. Joe, as it stands right now, teams you think end up in the Super Bowl / who do you want in the Super Bowl?
The Chiefs are winning again. The Chiefs are going to be the first team ever to win 3 straight Super Bowls. I don't see anybody going in. I don't care about Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
I agree.
I don't care
Especially if they have to go through Kansas City, which now they do.
Yeah, you're not beating them in Kansas City.
The world will think Buffalo or Baltimore, or they'll try to will them to win that game. Right. The Chiefs are going to win that game.
And here's the thing about the Chiefs. Slowly the guys are getting, Pacheco's back. Yep. They got DeAndre Hopkins now. The offense has come. But their defense is fabulous.
Spags is a great coach.
Spagnuolo has become the new modern-age Bill Belichick as far as the defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. He's on that level now. And that team defensively, they are tremendous.
Right. It's like it keeps them in games. That's why they win all these close one-score games.
No question.
You have a good defense, you can win bad games, bad offensive games, and, have a quarterback that can figure it out.
Yep.
And
I think they're winning again. I really do. And as far as the NFC, you know what? I mean, look, I kind of lean toward the Lions, but
a lot of injuries now.
Yeah, you can't dismiss Minnesota.
Well, there's three teams. It's the Lions, it's the Eagles, and it's the Vikings.
Right.
I kind of think the Rams are going to be live and dangerous in the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with Sean there. I wouldn't discount the Rams. I really, they won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. They
coach and quarterback, I'll take any of those matchups.
Right. They got 2 outstanding wide receivers. The defense probably a little better than you think.
Remember, they were banged up early in the year. Nakua was out. Cup's not even getting usage. Kyron Williams, a great running back. I'm kind of in on them. And now, Joe, you're going to be a lot like me on New Year's Day with the 3 college football games?
Unless there is a outside possibility that we could play golf on New Year's Day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't looked ahead. I thought it was going to get very cold on this.
No, it's supposed Joe to be doesn't care.
I don't know. Well, it's supposed to be in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
And then tomorrow, too. You could have played today, but it was really nothing open today. There is a couple golf courses open tomorrow. We're going to see if we can do that tomorrow. The Arizona State-Texas game does nothing for me.
True.
I'm all over because Texas is going to kill Arizona State. I'm all over the Oregon-Ohio State game, and I'm all over Georgia and Notre Dame. But that game's not going to start till 9:30. That game.
Well, they say 8:45 every year. Every year that game kicks at about 9:00, and it's the one night of the year where people are exhausted. You're at the end of a holiday time off. You're up till midnight the night before. That's we're working afternoon drive, so we're fine. But that's a tough one for people to stay up for. I agree.
Yeah, no, you're not working New Year's Day, though, right?
God, no. No. Now, if the Mets sign Alonso, will Evan try to call us? Yes, but we're not.
I'm concerned about it, I have to tell you. I'm concerned that, I hear about the Giants now. Apparently, the Mets are off for 3 years.
Yeah, talking about Alonso now, by the way.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you feel – see, this is the thing, Joe.
I'm concerned about it.
I'm Pete Alonso, forget, whether the Mets should sign him or shouldn't sign him. At some point, aren't you offended?
If you're Pete Alonso. I mean, you have been the
$30 million a year, 3 years. I mean, is that offensive? I mean, I don't know. Is it, Tiki? You think that's offensive?
I think that makes sense.
But
because it's an overpay for what his value is, right? Because he's probably a 25.
Well, he's more valuable to my team than any.
Right. But he's probably on the open market a $25 million guy. So if you're going to give him 3 for 30, you're overpaying him. And if he's great, then you'll figure it out afterwards, right? Or he moves into that DH role fully at 35, going on 36. Then it's a different. You put the team in a good position to do right by you.
All I'm saying is Uncle Stevie just showed the world he has more money. And I'm not telling you pay Pete Alonso a blank check.
No,
but if I'm Pete Alonso, there's got to be a little personal pride of. You have no problem spending money on Soto. You couldn't just take care of me.
Juan Soto.
I understand that. But I'm supposed to be Mr. Met. You're Mr. Met owner, and you've left me to dangle like I'm some kind of wart on your skin.
Well, look, the fan base wants him, Sean. I can tell you that. I mean, I certainly do. I think I speak for. I know Evan does. I certainly want it back. So, but you hear about the Giants. I mean, I'm concerned. The longer it goes, the more concerned I am. But before I let you guys go, because I got to ask both of you guys now. Okay, so the Giants win this game yesterday. Out of nowhere. By the way, Malik Neighbors is phenomenal.
He's
great.
Ridiculous.
By next year, he's the best receiver in the league if he's not already. But I mean, he's unbelievable. Giants win this game. They drop from the number 1 pick. They drop to 4. By the way, how about this, guys?
Yeah.
How about the fact that Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders and Travis Hunter all play in these meaningless bowl games?
I said that earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
That shows me a lot.
Joe, a lot of people are killing Shadir Sanders for his performance in that game.
So
and I said he went out there and freaking played for his teammates. That shows me more than the actual ability on the field.
Who cares if he stunk? It doesn't matter. I mean, to me, the fact that he was out there, I mean, I know Ward only played a half, but at least he was out there for a half. That entices me even more about these guys.
Right. And Sanders wore Giants cleats in the game.
Did he?
Yes, you didn't know that? Yes.
No, I didn't know that.
He wore cleats with the Giants logo on.
Red Giant cleats.
Yeah. All right, so where are you now? Now, New England has the number 1 pick. They don't need a quarterback.
No.
Okay. Correct.
Right.
Okay, so
or
the other
if they get it, you can trade with them.
Right.
But the other 2 teams, to me, Tennessee and Cleveland, need a quarterback. Now, they can tell me all day about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Right.
Come on.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen with Deshaun Watson. Or if I was the Cleveland Browns, because just like everybody knows, they're desperate to move on from him.
Yeah.
But he has a no-trade clause, right? So they can't trade him.
Right.
If you're 2, let's say that the Cleveland Browns are 2, you draft the quarterback, and you basically tell him, we're going to play this young quarterback. We're done with you. Mm-hmm. And so you force him to waive his no trade, and you try to trade him. Right? That's how you get rid of him quickly, as opposed to waiting for 2 years for the cap hit, the dead cap hit, to be manageable and then cutting him. I think you draft a quarterback and say, because they need a quarterback.
Right. Oh, God.
Right?
Of course.
I mean, Jameis is bad. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is bad.
Right.
I forget who the other kid is. Obviously, what's his name is hurt. Deshaun Watson's coming off an Achilles injury.
He's always hurt.
So you draft a quarterback and basically tell Deshaun Watson, hey, we're done with you.
Yeah.
Right. And look, and that's where the Giants are going to be screwed. If those 2 teams are in front of them, I think they are going to take the quarterback. But, Joe, like we pointed out earlier, the Titans this week facing Texans backups. The Titans are favored in the game. They could easily win that game if it was the Texans starters. Mm-hmm. And New England playing Buffalo this week. Buffalo's not going to be playing anybody. New England could win that game. The Giants could easily wake up a week from today picking number 2 overall behind Cleveland. And that may not be the worst place to be if Cleveland makes the call on the quarterback and the Giants just sit back like what happened with Stroud, what happened with Jaden Daniels, and go, okay, we'll take the next guy.
We'll take the other guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and Stroud turned out to be, well, although Bryce Young has played a lot better. I mean, I have to say. But, I mean, right now, at this point, Stroud is better. I don't love Houston. No, they're very...
No, I agree.
Yeah, the offensive line is bad.
My point is, I'm not happy as a Giant fan today that they've put themselves in this spot, but I don't think it's the end of the world yet. There's a good chance they still end up with one of these quarterbacks.
Okay, let's say it stays the way it is. Oof. New England, to me, could take Travis Hunter, number 1. I mean, they could.
Why not? Go get a great player.
Right. I mean, I don't think, absolutely. So let's say that the 2 quarterbacks are gone. What do the Giants do it for if you sit there?
There's a couple of linemen. I mean, look, they need depth on their offensive line.
Right.
I know we've talked about this ad nauseum because it feels like they've drafted O-linemen every single year, and very few of them have panned out. But they need offensive linemen, so that's one thing you can do, or you trade down.
Yeah, I tell you right now, if they're sitting at 4 and they don't have a trade partner, I'm taking Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, and I'm getting myself a lockdown number 1 corner.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think outside of Travis Hunter, I think he's the best player in the draft, period. Mm-hmm. And to me, that would cover up a major, major hole the Giants have on their roster.
Now, let me ask you this, guys, both of you. Do Dable and Shane come back?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Yesterday. Joe, I made this point to Tiki earlier. If you were going to fire Brian Dable, why wouldn't you have done it already? Now you just allowed him to go coach his ass off trying to think he's playing for coaching for his job and win a game. If you're now going to turn around and fire him after winning that game yesterday, why would you have put him in a position where he had to coach his ass off to win a game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's backwards to me. So to me, I think they stay. I think they're going to be desperate to go trade up for a quarterback if they aren't in that spot, and I think that's the position the Giants are going to be in.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, anything can happen. Do they play Saquon this week to try to break Eric Dickerson's record?
Let's pray they do.
What do you think? Teak, what do you think about that?
It's only 100 yards.
Yeah. Tiki's on the call that game, by the way.
Calling that
Oh,
game.
you're doing that game?
Yeah, so I'm calling that game with Andrew and AJ and Jason McCourty. So
that's an early game. Too.
It's an early game.
1 o'clock.
Early,
right.
so we'll go down Saturday.
How about the Jet game is 4:25?
Because of the Dolphins.
Because of the Dolphins. I mean, they put them on the same time as the Denver game. No, I get that. I understand.
Right.
So we'll see with that. But yeah, so you're actually doing the game, huh?
I am.
So Tiki could be in the building for Saquon to break the record. And Giant fans, please.
Against the Giants, no less.
But, Joe, we're begging Sirianni and Saquon to do that. We want to lose the game.
No, I get that.
I don't know if they're going to, though.
The Eagles are such pigs.
What if he sprains an ankle and he misses the wild card route?
That could be the most Philly thing ever. Sirianni getting killed because he played him for the record, and then he gets hurt.
Eric Dickerson. Remember one thing. Eric Dickerson did it in a 16-game season too. So,
right.
Correct. But Dickerson, through this point, had more carries than Saquon too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a different game.
We
can't even compare.
Exactly.
And by the way, OJ did it in 14.
Right.
Yes, against my team. By the way, in 1973, in the snow at Shea Stadium against my football team. So I just want to, I just want to let you know about that, Teague. If you didn't,
let it go, Joe.
I don't think I knew that.
I let nothing go, bro.
I could have guessed that he did it against you guys, though.
Oh my God, you can't make it up.
Joe, really we hope the weather's good enough to play golf.
Yes,
obviously.
Hopefully.
Happy New Year, bro.
And Happy New Year.
You know what we got to do? By the way, Tiki, at some point next year, once we get into the golf season, we got to play, bro.
Let's do it.
We got to definitely get together and play somewhere.
Most certainly.
I'll
plenty
come
of
down
places
to you.
around me.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. I mean, I'll set something up. Whatever you want to do. We got to get out with the. I guess your brother's down in Florida, right?
He is, but he comes up every now and then.
Does he?
He'll kick our ass though, Joe. I don't
care.
He's not fun to play with.
I'm not worried about getting my ass kicked. I just I just go out there. I know what I can do, and I hold my own. Teak. That's all I can tell you.
You know what? That should be Bleacher Report and TNT's next version of the match: the Barber brothers versus the Beningos.
Yeah,
Terry and Joe.
My wife Terry will be more than happy to get out there with you guys. I can tell you that she would love every second of it. So,
I love it. Joe, God bless.
Guys,
we love you.
Happy New Year. God bless, guys. Thank you so much.
Happy
Be well.
New Year.
Be good, Joe.
Take care, Joe.
All right, babe.
Joe Benigno.